This is a recap for Thursday, October 22nd. This will include all the answers to CAMI Week 5 and all the answers to the quiz that we did this week on Tuesday. So the goal on page 1 is to estimate with fractions and decimals. So with numbers that are less than 1 unit from 0, we're going to add in a half and a negative half. So this symbol right here means plus or minus. So on the number line, oops, I'm going to have to, kind of have some issues with drawing right now. Let's see if we can fix those. So typically when we're rounding, we go to the nearest whole number, like 1, 2, 3, -1, -2, -3. But we're going to expand this area right here. Let's go to red. And when we look in here, I'm going to kind of zoom in with a number line. And I drew one here, but I'm going to draw another one. Just zoom in to 0, 1/2, and 1, -1/2, and -1. And we're going to include the halves when we are near 0 in our rounding. So -4.23 goes to -4, 2.8 goes to 3, -4 plus 3 is -1. So this estimate, -4.23 plus 2.8 is around, we can have that squiggly equal sign, -1. And 0.94 minus a -0.43, the estimate is around 0.43. Remember, when we subtract a negative, it's the same as adding a positive. 2 minus a -3 is the same problem as 2 plus the opposite of -3, which is 3. This -1/7 would round to 0. 4/9 is right around a half, so that's the answer on that one. -1 1/3 rounds to -1, minus 2 7/8. This 2 7/8, we can just view it as a 3 to get a rounded answer. So it's -4. (8.8) plus 1.1 is right around 10. 0.98 plus 0.4 is right around 1.5. -0.49, we could round that to -0.5. -0.97, we could round to -1. So to combine those together, we get -1.5, -1.5. See how we just take this and view it as a 4, just making it easier. 9.2, we'll just see that as a 9. 4 minus 9, it's really easy to do 4 minus 9 and say, well, that's equal to 5. It's easy to kind of go this direction, but remember that subtraction cannot go that direction. It has to go this direction. So that means it goes into the negative. 3 minus 7 is -10. 0.5 plus 0.5. And remember, this is adding the opposite is 1. Kelby measured the temperature of his hot chocolate. After the first minute, the temperature had changed at -2.2 degrees. 5 minutes later, he checked the temperature again, and it changed to -5.9. What integer represents the change in temperature in his hot chocolate? So So negative 2.2 plus a negative 5.9. We could round that to negative 2 and negative 6 to get negative 8. So it dropped around 8 degrees. 9/10 is rounds to 1. 4/9 rounds to 1/5. So that's right around, I'm sorry, that should be 1/2. So that's right around 1.5. That's a 5. That's like a 9. 5 and 9 is 14. 7 plus a negative 2 is 5. Negative 1 minus 0. I'll show you where I got negative 1 on that. We'll wait for the pen to kind of come back. We've had a few delay issues. There it is right there. All right. So if this is 0 and this is negative 1 and we split it into 5 parts, then this is negative 4/5, which is close to negative 1. It's closer than half, which would have been right there. It's pretty kind of in between, but it's closer. Same with 4/7, it's close to half. 7/13 is also close to half, so that one's interesting. It goes to 0. 13, the answer is negative 9. Okay, Irma purchased fruitcake to make fruit salad. She bought 1 1/5 pounds of grapes, 2 4/5 pounds of strawberries, 5 1/10 pounds of watermelon. So let's round these because it says about how many, not exactly how many. So 1 plus 3 plus 5 is right around 9. So we could say about 9 pounds of fruit. Our target, and we already did this, but I'm going to redo this for you, is to add real numbers. And you can see this in a, if you want those words, you can go to earlier recap. I'm not going to take, I want to do the problems here, so I'm going to skip this part and just do each of the problems. That negative 1/2. I'm going to find the difference. And the answer is positive, so positive 11.18, because there's more positive than negative. Notice how I put the negative in the numerator. And I'm going to change that to eighths, so I can add it to 1/8. Negative 6 and 1 is negative 5. So this is negative 5/8. I'm going to change this to negative 2/3 times 3 is equal to negative 6/9 plus 2/9. Negative 6 and 2 is -4. -1/3, change that to twelfths, is -4/12. 1/4 is 3/12. So that's -1/12. This is -5/2 plus here we go. Change it to the eraser once I get it. I'm going to try closing this and coming back into it. Hopefully it solves it. I want to start this video over. If you're watching it, thank you for your patience. There we go, that worked. So -5/2 plus -17/4. Change this to fourths, -10/4 plus -17/4 is -27/4, and that's equal to -6 3/4. And this is going to be 3 times 4 is 12, 13/3 plus -7/2. So we need 6. So 3 times 2 is 6. 13 times 2 is 26. 6. 2 times 3. So I'm going to do 7 times 3 is -21. 6. And that's equal to 26 combined with -21 is 5. 5, 6. And the last page, I'm going to add these together, bring the decimal point down, and that's 7.2. Bring the decimal point down, and maybe we can zoom in here a little bit. We're subtracting, so this is 2.1. This is going to be negative. We're going to line these up. We're going to add them up because they're both negative. .3 and 0.2. Again, we're going to close it out, open it back up. Not sure what's going on with Cami. I've never had this issue before, but hopefully we're almost done, so we'll hang in there. .2, and that is, we're adding them together and making the answer negative 3.5. So negative 3.5. Negative 3.5. We're going to find the difference here because one is positive, one is negative, so we're going to subtract. And the answer is positive on that one. There's more positive than negative. We're going to find the difference between 0.9 and 0.4, which is 0.5. There's more negative than positive, so that answer is negative. We're almost there. It should be the last time we have to go in and out of Kami. If you're still watching, you are persistent. Good job. And so this answer was negative. And these are negative, positive. We find the difference. 4.66 minus 2.34. 2, 3. Might have to start my computer over. If that's the case, then we'll have to redo this video. All right, so this was decimal. 6 minus 4 is 2. 6 minus 3 is 3. 4 minus 2 is 2. There is more negative, so the answer is negative. We're going to find the difference between 5.8 and 3.6. So it's 2.2. There is more negative, so this answer is negative. And finally, Peter started running and lost 3.3 or 3.6 kilograms. He took a 2-week break and he gained back 1.2. The 3.6 should be negative. Negative 3.6 because it's a loss of weight. And then we're going to write the sum. Negative 3.6 added to 1.2. They are different, so we're going to find the difference. 3.6 minus 1.2 is 2.4. So it is a negative, so he lost a total of, over that time period, the total change was he lost 2.4 pounds. We could say he lost 2.4 pounds, or we could say the total change was negative 2.4 pounds. So this is one answer, this is another answer. They would both be acceptable. Okay, let's go to the quiz. And let's run through the quiz real quick. We talked in class about not having to do, we didn't really have to do the math on this one. We could think, or we didn't have to do the computation. The math part of it was just reasoning. And so let's do that. This is positive. This is negative. So we're going to find the difference. If we were to round this, we could round it to negative 3 and this to 3. Combining those together, we'd get 0. So that eliminates this and this. We have more positive than negative, eliminating this one. So the answer was A. The common denominator between halves, thirds, and fourths is 12ths. I'm going to go pretty fast on some of these so we can get through this in a reasonable amount of time. Let's solve 1/2 plus negative 3/4. That's 2/4 plus negative 3/4. It's negative 1/4. That was A. Lots of people needed help on this one, which is fine. Negative 3/7 plus 4/5. We're going to multiply this by 5 to get negative 15/35. Multiply this times 7 to get 28/35. Combining 28 and negative 35, the difference is 13. It's positive, so it's 13/35. So it was D. Negative 1/3 plus negative 1/6. We're going to combine this. We're not going to find the difference. They're both negative. This is negative 2/3 plus negative 2/6. It's negative 1/6. Now we have 3 negative 6, which is equal to negative 1/2, which is A. Negative 7/4 plus 5/4 is equal to negative 2/4 equals negative 1/2. C. (11/6) minus a negative, which is the same as adding a positive 7/6, is 18/6. That's a division problem. The answer is 3. Negative 5/8 minus a negative is the same as adding the opposite of 15/8. Combining a negative 5 and a positive 15, we get a net of 10. That is 15 in the positive, 5 in the negative. And that simplifies to 5/4. A. Negative 5/3 plus 3/4. We're going to have 12ths, so we multiply this times 4. Negative 20/12. Multiply this times 3. That's 9/12. There is 20 negatives, 9 positives. That means that we're going to have 11 negatives. So that is A. By the way, you could eliminate those two because their denominator was 11. That wasn't going to happen when we have 3s and 4s. Talked about that in class a little bit, how to just take a test. All right, let's move on to some decimals. Subtract 0.194 from 82, so we have to do this. 82.000 minus 0.194. So we're going to borrow from that 1 and keep borrowing over. So we get 6, 0, 8, and then 81. So let's look for that up here. 81, 806 is D. Okay, we'll continue with some decimals. We're going to combine, we're going to find the difference because this is negative, that one's positive. So let's line up 6.132 and let's subtract 0.21. Fill in the 0. 2 minus 0 is 2. 3 minus 1 is 2. Borrow, and that's 9. 5.920. And it's negative. It's real easy to look at that and say I've got the answer, but we have to remember that it is negative. So that is D. And let's do the difference. One is positive, one is negative. 4.1 minus 1.9. We've got to borrow. And that's 2.2. We have more positive, so it's going to be positive 2.2, which is D. Problem, looks like I skipped, let me see. Yeah, I skipped 13. We better go back to it. All right, so negative 7.6 minus 5.6 is the same as negative 7.6 plus the opposite of that, which is negative 5.6. That means we're going to combine these. So 7.6 plus 5.6 is 13.2, and it's going to be negative. So negative 13.2. Problem number 14 is similar. We're going to combine these, 3.9 and 3.6, 7.5, and the answer is negative, and this is the one with a typo, so it should have been B, and that should have been a negative. So that was the problem with the typo. Problem on slide 14. Getting close to the end here. Do a few more problems. We're going to find the difference, so we're going to write 4.113 minus 3.648. So we're going to borrow or rename, do it again, and we have nothing left, 0. So this has more negative. So we're going to look for negative 0.465. The answer was D. Oops, I think I skipped 16. Yep. Okay, so add these two together, and it's confusing because it says add, but because this is negative and this is positive, we find the difference. So we're going to change them to an improper fraction. So 4 times 16 is 64, plus 1 is 65 fourths, and 5 times 7 is 35. 35 and 3 is 38. So plus a negative 38 fifths. 20 is going to be our common denominator. So we're going to do 5 times 65. 5 times 65 is 325. So 325 20ths. And then we're going to do 4. 4 times 38. 4 times 38 is 142. So plus negative 142 20ths. So 3, we'll go down here, 325 minus 142 is 183. So 183 20ths. 20 goes into 183 9 times with 3 left over. Okay, the other way we could have done that is we could have done 16 1/4 minus 7 3/5, and we could have changed these to 20ths. So 16 5/20 minus 7 and 12/20, and then borrowed from this. That probably would have been easier. So that's equal to 25/20 minus 12/20 is where we get that 13/20. So either way, it is 9 and 13/20. And if you were watching the video earlier in the week, this is the same problem from that video. And this is also from the video earlier in the week. So we're going to do 5. We're going to find the difference. So we're going to put 9.54 minus 5.00 is 4.54, and it's negative. So negative 4.54. And the last one, so show your thinking or process for adding a negative fraction to a positive fraction. So my thinking on this is going to be that we're going to find the difference. So we're going to draw a picture of the negative. So there's my negative. And then I'm going to draw a little bit bigger positive and just demonstrate that this is going to cancel out almost all of this. When we combine them together, it's going to eat away almost every part of it, leaving just a little fraction left. So this idea, so then that's going to equal just a small amount of yellow. Whoops. Yellow. So that's just drawing my thinking on that. Okay, so that is the update for Thursday, October 22nd.